Test, test. Yes, we're here. Okay, good evening. This is the call to order. We're at the Wastewater Subcommittee meeting. It is April 16, 2026, and it is 7:02 p.m. Who would like to lead the Pledge of Allegiance? Maybe member Toms? Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We are going to do a roll call. Where do I start? Member Martinez Rubin.
Here. Here.
Member Grimsley.
Here.
Member Toms.
Here.
Director Dombeck.
Here. Present.
Plant Manager Binder. And Director Elgindi.
Present.
Thank you. We are having a quorum tonight. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the December 18, 2025 meeting. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you very much. Minutes from December 18, 2025 are approved. We're doing another roll call. Member...
No, one moment. Oh, let's do a vote. Yes. After the motions.
May I have a vote on the motion? Member Martinez Rubin?
Yes.
Member Grimsley?
Yes.
Member Toms?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Minutes approved. Next on the agenda is item 4, citizens to be heard for items not on the agenda. And there is nobody here at the moment. We can check back in later. Next item is number 5, Water Pollution Control Plant Operations Report, and I'll hand that over to Plant Manager Binder, please.
Thank you. I'm going to wait for the slideshow to be shown on the screen for everybody. Okay, I'll now review the operations report, and the topics will include monthly flow data, monthly performance indicators, project updates, and operations and maintenance updates. We'll start with the monthly flow data. For the month of January, the flow for Hercules was a total of 47.23 million gallons, or 44% of the overall flow. For the Pinole flow for January was a total of 60 million.05, or 56% of overall flow. For February, the flow for Hercules was 38.38 million gallons, or 44% of the overall flow. For Pinole, the month of February, the flow total was 49.23 million, or 56% of the overall flow. For Hercules for March, the flow was 39.56 million gallons, or 47% of the overall flow. And for Pinole, during March, the total flow was 44.02 million gallons, or 53% of the overall flow. We'll now move on to the monthly performance indicators. These are the descriptions of the indicators. That gives you a definition of what the laboratory data means. You could read those on your own. We will move to the performance indicators. So the performance indicators for January 2026, we had a CBOD influent average of 186 milligrams per liter, an effluent average of 10.39 milligrams per liter, and overall removal percentage of 94%. For total suspended solids, we had an influent average of 267 milligrams per liter, an effluent average of 11.8 milligrams per liter, and an overall removal percentage of 96%. For Enterococcus most probable number, our effluent average was 3.5, and for ammonia, our was 47 milligrams per liter for effluent average. For the month of February, CBOD, we had an influent average of 194, an effluent average of 12.08, and an overall removal percentage of 94%. For total suspended solids, we had an influent average of 272 milligrams per liter with an effluent average of 11.41 milligrams per liter, or an overall removal percentage of 96. The Enterococcus most probable number had an effluent average of 3.2. The ammonia milligrams per liter was 36. For the month of March, we had a CBOD influent average of 233 milligrams per liter, an effluent average of 10.3 milligrams per liter, and an overall percent removal of 96%. For total suspended solids, we had an influent average of 311, an effluent average of 10.97, and an overall removal percentage of 96. For Enterococcus most probable number, we had an effluent average of 2.3, and for ammonia, we had an effluent average of 45 milligrams per liter. And at this point, I can take any questions on either the monthly performance indicators or the monthly flow data.
I have a question. Our removal rates seem relatively high, 94 to 96% seems really good. Is that our target, or is that in keeping with our counterparts in, say, Rodeo, et cetera?
Yeah, our permit requirement, I believe, is a minimum of 80% removal. So, we were well above that target. Yep. If there are no more questions, we can move on to project updates. Project updates will include the blower replacement project, effluent outfall project, and the wastewater treatment plant operations and maintenance manual. The first project update is on the blower replacement. At this point, we've replaced one blower. Back in the 2019 plant upgrade project, we received 3 blowers as part of that project. One of those blowers experienced a failure with a component that the manufacturer was no longer able to source parts on. So we replaced that blower with a new blower from APG Neros. And as you can see in the picture, the new blower is on the right side, and our existing Airzen blowers you can see on the left side of that picture. So we currently replaced one, and we are under contract now to replace the remaining 2 blowers, and we expect to have those installed by the end of this calendar year. The next project update is on the effluent outfall project. This project has been on the books for a little while. It went out to bid for design in 2024, but we didn't have any bidders. The update as of May 2025 was we increased the design budget and the scope of work. And the update as of February 26 is we've been discussing this project with our on-call engineering firm to update the RFP and place it back out to bid. And the last project update is on the wastewater treatment plant operations and maintenance manual, which is in progress, and I'm targeting on completing that by the end of this calendar year. One project update that I don't have here on the agenda tonight is just the laboratory remodel. We have progressed on that. I probably should have put that in this report, but we're currently finalizing designs and equipment selection, and we'll hope to have more information to you guys during the next subcommittee meeting. So next we'll cover operations and maintenance updates. The first update, we did have a laboratory audit that was completed by ELAP, the agency that oversees laboratories and provides accreditation. So that was completed on January 29th, 2026. We did pass that audit, so everything is going well in the lab, and our permit for operation of the lab is ongoing and in satisfactory condition. Another operations and maintenance update is we had a WAS pump that failed. That pump was rebuilt by our internal maintenance staff and reassembled, and you can see it put back together in this picture. I know this may not look like a new pump just because there isn't fresh paint or anything on it, but the internal components have been rebuilt and it is back in service. The final operations and maintenance update I'll give you is on our grit system. Usually twice a year we take down our grit system for maintenance. During storm events, a lot of grease comes into the plant and it kind of clogs up that system. So what you see in this picture on the right side is just an accumulation of just grease and things that have clogged that system up. And so the staff has to get in there with like the Vector truck and hoses to clear that system out. And if you move to the next slide, you can see the picture after it's been cleaned. Just basically looks like a brand new tank. And so the system is back in operation now. That's the final operations and maintenance update, and I can answer any questions on either project updates or the operations and maintenance updates if there are any.
Quick question. What does WAS stand for, the WAS?
It stands for Waste Activated Sludge.
Oh, okay.
So waste activated sludge is part of our aeration basin system. There's sludge that is removed from the system and further processed in thickening and then solids removal. So it goes from our aeration basin system to our secondary clarifiers, and then it's wasted out of the system to our thickening process, and then it goes to our digesters for digestion. So it's
Does it end up in a landfill, the solids?
eventually, yes, that's the final part of the process. Is after it goes through digestion, it goes to a centrifuge to remove any final water from the sludge, and then it goes into a dump truck, and our operations staff hauls that to the Keller Canyon landfill.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question too. I have a question about your operations and maintenance manual. If I recall correctly, you wanted to have that completed by end of first quarter. Is it just staff that's working on that? And was one question, and the other is, now you've allowed yourself a few more quarters to complete it. So
Yes.
what is it that makes it that requiring as much time?
It's a very technical document. It's our existing one is about 500 pages, so it's just going through all of the plant upgrades that were done in the last project, and one by one, updating all of the technical engineering figures and procedures to operate each new process. And
When was the last time that it was, or has there been an operations maintenance manual? How often do you have to update it?
the last version was done by Brown and Caldwell, I believe, in 1995, somewhere in that range.
And so, is it a matter of keeping a current manual to comply with a regulatory agency? And are we, between 1995 and current is a long period, so are we overdue? Are you catching up on updating it?
Yes, when you go through a large plant upgrade project, our permit does force us to update the manual. So that is a task on our permit that we need to complete.
Do you have a deadline for that?
They don't have a firm deadline on it, no. But like I said, it is a task in our permit. Our permit currently runs through, I believe, 2028. So theoretically, we would need to have it done by the end of this permit cycle.
And if I may add to that, because Josh has been directly involved in capital projects as well, which is an added demand on his time. But I'm happy to share that the recruitment process is going very well. I wouldn't be able to share the selected candidate yet because the offer hasn't been accepted yet. But we are very likely to end up with a very good engineer who works in the field and very well educated and a professional engineer to assist us with the capital projects. Most of his focus would be on wastewater related projects, at least in the first couple of years, which would relieve some of Josh's time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yeah, mine is just about an item in the agenda, and that's the grit system cleaning. How often does something like that need to be done, and how costly is that project?
We usually do it 1 to 2 times per year. As I mentioned, high flows bring in a lot of debris that kind of settles out in the system over the course of the seasons, and those high flows kind of pick up any remaining grease and things that have been sitting for probably a large portion of the rest of the year. And so we usually do it prior to wet weather season and sometimes also at the end of wet weather season. So that it's all cleared out for what's coming, and then you clear it out for the rest of the year.
Thank you. I was just thinking about how members of this subcommittee got a tour of your plant recently, and how relatively clean it was, and and exceeded my expectations in terms of limited malodorous effects.
No, thank you. Appreciate that. And it's done by internal staff, so there isn't an outside cost. So the maintenance was performed by our operations and maintenance staff.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing this.
And in fact, that concludes the operations report. We can move on to the next item on the agenda.
Thank you, Plant Manager Binder. We are at item 6, which is the fiscal year 2026-27 budget, and we're handing it over to Director Guillory.
Good evening. So has all of the members had time to review the budget, and I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
I just have a question.
Okay.
Are we just reviewing a draft budget, or are we tonight approving a budget for 26, 27?
This is just a review of the preliminary budget.
Okay, and what's the timing of approval? Will we have another wastewater meeting before June 30th to adopt?
So that hasn't been the standard unless that's the direction of the subcommittee, then yes. Other than that, it would be adopted with the rest of the city budget
Okay.
in June.
Each city would adopt their portion of the proposed budget?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
As a follow-up to that question, will it be then at a regular council meeting when we would see the revenues that come into the wastewater treatment plant, so we can get a sense of what the operating costs that are preliminarily proposed here are such that they are within the budget to be
Yes.
proposed?
So the first draft of the total citywide budget will be presented to the full city council on May 5th, and that information will be included. I also have the numbers in front of me if you'd like to know those. So the revenue budget in total for the enterprise fund, which includes treatment and collections, is approximately $12.5 million at this point, and that includes Hercules share, as well as the charges for services that are assessed on the property tax bills for Pinole properties.
That's helpful, thank you.
You're welcome.
As we're seeing a preliminary proposed budget, my question is, as after reviewing it, made me wonder what was that, a denominator, what I consider denominator, out of which the funds that are being proposed for operations would be taken, and whether the projections then would cover as much, or whether we can possibly see what I'm seeing in the proposed budget, which is a carry forward, which are amounts from last year's fiscal year.
Yeah, so some of the projects have carried forward from prior fiscal years. They have not been completed or are in various stages of completion, and so we're just rebudgeting those funds. I'd also like to mention that the projects are covered not only by the revenue that's coming in on an annual basis, but also in available reserves. So there's been an accumulation of funds over the years, and that reserve at this point is approximately $23 million. And so a portion of that will be used for projects as well.
Thank you. And again, this is exclusively for the wastewater treatment plant.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Correct.
Okay, I have a follow-up question to that. So the carry forward amounts that we're seeing on this proposed budget, all of those will be available for the 26, 27?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
May I clarify a small point? With regards to the accumulation of the enterprise funds, this funds is also used for projects citywide. What is shared between the cities of Hercules and the cities of Pinole are the ones just specific to the treatment plant.
That's correct. Thank you for that, Director Elgindy. And the budget that you see in front of you is only the portion that's shared with Hercules.
Thank you both. I don't have other questions about the budget.
I have no further questions.
Councilmember Thomas?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Guillory. We are at item 7, new sewer connections, and handing it over again to Plant Manager Binder.
No new connections for Pinole.
All right, thank you. We're at item 8.
No new connections for Hercules either. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We are at item 8, a discussion to set possible dates and times for future meetings. If maybe Director Elgini would like to lead the discussion.
So I will start the conversation because we've been receiving mixed input on the best date and time, and from both cities, from the city of Pinole representatives as well as the city of Hercules. And it was expressed that Thursdays are not good for 1 or 2 committee members. So I wanted to open the conversation and see what's the best fit for everyone.
Well, I would agree with that statement, excuse me, because there are competing meetings on Thursday nights with other committees, subcommittees, and so a lot of us, I know, are committed on 1 or more Thursdays throughout the month, and usually
Yes.
they're different, and therefore it's hard to find various. I would propose Wednesday.
I think Wednesdays are good. Now, I'm an alternate, but again, the primary has a conflict on the 3rd Thursday, and then I typically have a conflict on Thursdays. It's just the other meeting that I have a conflict is not meeting tonight. Wednesdays, I'm not aware of any conflicts with regional meetings, but as the alternate, I would be available most Wednesdays.
I understand. Thank you. And same time, 7 p.m.
If you give me a minute, I'll review the City of Pinole's schedule of regional meetings to make sure that there are no conflicts with the representatives, the delegates, and/or the alternates on a Wednesday.
Sounds
Okay, so
good.
just
Thank
give me
you. I
a
appreciate
few minutes.
Yeah, and then if I can just ask, we used to have this meeting in the morning. Is that something that's out of the question for others?
If it's not on Wednesday, I can do it in the morning.
If it's not on Wednesday?
If it is Tuesday or Wednesday.
A Wednesday morning?
If you'd like, we could also send out a doodle for different times on Wednesdays. I believe there was a council member who indicated the morning time would not work for him.
Okay. And then, of course, there are Cal Cities meetings
And
that
I'm-
are not
I'm
on that
looking-
list.
And I'm looking at the list that we have, which excludes those Cal Cities meetings. However, at least for the City of Pinole, when we assigned each other, or we accepted the assignments back in December, and as well reconfirmed our assignments in January, we were very aware, all of us, all council members were aware of what assignments we had agreed to. And if there was a conflict at the time, we all agreed to carry forth with the list as we know it today, which is what has led us to have the composition that shows up right now, at least from the City of Pinole. So I am looking at the East Bay Division League of California
Those are
Cities.
Thursdays.
Those are
Those are Thursdays.
Thursdays, okay. It seems Thursdays is a popular day for regional meetings. So with discussing Wednesdays, I would ask for a Wednesday other than a second Wednesday of the month. I have a time conflict with with a meeting that's in place at this point. So other than the second Wednesday of the month in the evening would work for me, afternoon or evening would work for me. As to time, did I hear you would be sending a poll for us?
In case there is interest for a morning time, although there may be some objection to that.
Yeah, I would just offer that many of us work full-time jobs.
Yes,
So
yeah.
it may not always be, any of us who are available
your
may
microphone.
not, sorry. For those who work full-time, morning meetings might be prohibitive if there's not a flexible schedule available. I have a somewhat flexible work schedule, so
Yes, understand.
thank you.
And then I would also ask, if you do send out a poll, if you could see if we can do an earlier start, like 6 o'clock or 6:30. I know you guys have been working all day, and so have you. But,
Yeah, evening meeting, 6 o'clock start and on would work just fine. And we have only 2 other meetings remaining this year, after this one anyway, so it's a matter of scheduling 2 more.
Yes.
Okay. And as far as we know, tentatively, the months that remaining are a quarter from now?
Yes.
Okay, so a meeting in July and then a meeting,
In October, I believe. Yes, October.
I'll just add that I would also be in favor of a 6 PM start time,
good.
if it works for everyone.
Then we will look into the city's calendar as well and find which would be the best Wednesdays and we'll share a doodle if
Yeah,
needed.
I believe that the fourth Wednesday, there's the Community Services Commission,
Yes.
and I'm not sure what TAPS.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Second Wednesday, which doesn't work, so first or third Wednesday.
Yeah.
And since this meeting is quarterly, it can also be exchanged with others technically. So
Yes,
it
it's
can be
not the same month.
one on and off, and basically, so I think Dave Snell said we can fit it in.
Yeah.
Since we only have, it's a quarterly meeting, so.
But we will check the calendar and send out the updated information.
okay. Looks like we narrowed it pretty well though, huh?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Possibly first or third Wednesday of the month in the evening. Actual dates to be determined. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, committee. And if there's nothing else, then we are at item 9, and we adjourn this meeting to the next meeting to be scheduled, to be announced in July at some point on a Wednesday at 6 p.m., hopefully. And it is 7:35. Thank you very much, and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.